Welcome everyone, it's Simply Bitcoin. We break down the news from Twitter, the daily fail, meme review, software releases, hardware releases, and the websites by plebes or plebs. All right, we're going to the numbers. Let's do it.
Number time! Sponsored by Bitcoin 2022.
At the time of this recording, the block height is 706,217. The Bitcoin price, 60,530. Chain rewrite days, 829. Total public lightning capacity, 3,126.43. Sats per dollar or Moscow time, 1652. And blocks of the halvening, 133,783.
All right,
Moscow time increase.
Phil, you know what?
There was also a total lightning capacity increase.
Oh, look at...
We did, man. 3,126. Yesterday we were at 3,105.
That's an all-time high. That is an all-time high. But, Phil, I think we have to pack up. We have to call it. That's it. Bitcoin's dead.
Why? What happened?
Bitcoin's dead, bro. It's at 60K. 60K.
But, I mean, we literally probably just churned out another block right now. We're on the minute. It's 6:20.
But that's not what mainstream media is saying. It's saying it's dead.
Didn't we just have an all-time high like 2 days ago?
Yeah, but because it fell 10%, now it's dead.
It's dead again?
It's dead.
Oh, nice. It's dead. I love it when it dies. It's the best. I actually stacked today, though, which was great. I was like, oh, nice. I'm like, look at this nice big red candle. I'm like, boom, stack. I don't care. I mean, you know what? I kid you not, and I'm not encouraging anyone to do this in any way, shape, or form. I'm just saying this is how I am because whatever, everybody teach their own. But, like, when we go and do all-time highs, I will go and buy at those prices. I can say that I bought that.
I dumped a couple $100 when we were at all-time high just because I was like, yeah, Bitcoin!
It's just like, fuck everyone, you know? Like, I don't care, I'm buying this. It doesn't matter. And you know what? So far, it just so happens that I've been up every single time that I bought the all-time high, except for always the most recent one, right? But I don't really care. You know, like, for me, it's not a matter of this. It's a matter of us, right? Getting our money, getting our value out of this system. Exactly. So, you know what? Let the media say Bitcoin is dead.
It's dead.
We're thrilled.
Pack it up. We have to rename the show. Simply
fiat.
Oh.
I mean, is that what we're going to talk? Do we have to get suits?
Yeah, we have
to get suits. So wait, we have to get suits. We have to change the background, put on some boring colors so that everybody just totally fades out.
You know the paper, when they go, it's like... They stack the paper like today.
Do we get the special earpiece?
Yeah.
I want the special earpiece and I want the clip. And that means, do we have to wear ties or do we get to go loose with the one button open? I'm approachable but also sporty. You know, it's like, really? This is what they thought for you?
That actually reminds me. So I have a buddy that works at Goldman. And he was so proud. He told me one day, he's like, dude, they changed the attire. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. What does that mean? He's like, they don't make us wear ties anymore. I'm like, oh, gotcha.
It's a big win. So there's just the bunch of guys walking around in suits with sports jackets with no ties.
Just a button down.
This is casual, man. This is casual. Look at you. You're ready to play tennis. You're pretty much ready to go for a jog in that.
It's moving on, but it's so funny because, and if you connect it with the whole scandal right now where Powell and like all the Fed insiders were insider trading. One of the things in the article that stood out was this idea that the public's confidence, the public's trust. Right? And it's like, that's why these people wear suits, to like try to get you to trust them. But Bitcoiners, that isn't required anymore. Like, that element of trust is taken out of the equation. So you could look like a homeless person and that's okay as long as you provide value. And that's okay, right? It's such a radical shit. It's what you say. It's a paradigm shift.
So you know what? Okay, so tinfoil hat time. So there's this really amazing weird book called The Principia Discordia, okay, and it's about Discordianism, and in that book, there's a great story called The Curse of Greyface, okay? I'll see if I could find it, see if I can get you guys the link to this, but it's a really interesting story, and it has to do with essentially what we have today in the world, right? Some person decided that everybody was going to have a bad trip. And that is exactly what it is. I mean, don't get me wrong, but look, I've worked in corporate life for over 20 years, and I can tell you it is an absolutely, to me, it is a soul-crushing experience. Don't get me wrong, I understand. Everybody has to earn a living, and you know what I mean? Like, we all view reality through a different lens, and that's perfectly acceptable. But to me, I just have always found that it's just absolutely brutal, you know? Like, you constantly have to fight against it. You know, like it's anyways, see if I could find that link though. But that's exactly it. You don't need this. You know, like we don't need suits. Why do you have to convince? Why do you have to convince people by the way that you look? If your product, think about it. If our products actually had quality, right? If our products did what they said they did, we wouldn't need guarantees and warranties. That's for sure. That is the biggest scam. Okay. But you also wouldn't need somebody to dress in a monkey suit to sell it to you. Okay. Because it would stand on its own.
Yep.
But nothing that we build on this system, in this system, truly stands on its own. Mm-hmm. Anyways.
It's true. It's true. Anyways, I think this is a Bitcoin fixes this. Bitcoin fixes the suits. Anyways, Phil, it's time for it.
The Daily Fail, sponsored by Pirate Hash. All right, before we dive into the Daily Fail, we got a couple, it's all unrelated stories, okay? We're going to do a follow-up to WorldCoin, okay? We're also going to take a look at a really great comprehensive list of the, DeFi scams, okay, which was brought to us by fellow watcher Mike Hoshi, so thank you very much. And we're also going to take a look at some inflation fail. Anyway, so we're kind of just all over the place, all right? So here we go. Let's dive into it. We're first going to follow up to the WorldCom stuff.
It's a weekend fail
compilation.
It's a weekend fail compilation. Sunday. No, that's the weekend recap. It's a weekend.
Yeah, no, you're right. Okay, sorry. Sunday's the weekend recap. This is forget it. I'm screwed. Okay, who cares? It's the end of the week. What do you want? All right, here we go.
I'm gonna get a massage while you do this.
You know what? I got one of those, and it's actually pretty awesome. Just saying. Okay, here we go. Follow up to WorldCom. So for the people who did not see yesterday's episode, I am just going to do... I don't want to go through the whole thing, so here we go. A new collectively owned global currency that will be distributed fairly to as many people as possible. Okay? That's what this is claiming. So for the first time, cryptocurrencies make it possible to distribute ownership and control of these networks to their users rather than a single entity. But if you want to see the whole entire breakdown that we did... check out yesterday's episode. This is a follow-up to it today. At MBTC shared this with us, and Nico was kind enough to put this in the show notes. Here we go. WorldCoin's privacy policy states that they can share data with third parties who have a legitimate purpose for accessing it. Interesting. Let's take a look at some of these job openings, right? Machine learning algorithms, facial recognition, creating larger data sets, large-scale data ingestion. So they need a lot of data analysts. That's what they need. All right, let's take a look at some of these screenshots. WorldCoin does not disclose data to any third parties except to those who require access to the data in order to perform their tasks and duties, and to share with third parties who have a legitimate purpose for accessing it. Now, I have a feeling that what you and I determined to be a legitimate reason for accessing data may somewhat differ than the corporate reason for accessing data. I think we're governments.
Governments.
I'm sorry. I see everything. To me, there is no government anymore. It's all corporations.
It's true. It is true.
But you're absolutely right. To the point, right? We are going to determine these things much differently than them. But guess what? With this fairly distributed system, we don't get to decide that. They get to decide who's legitimate.
Oh, and by the way, fun fact. Did
Yeah.
you know, Phil, right? Because you said something really interesting, right? You said that you don't really see governments anymore. It's one giant kind of corporation. Well, you know, the actual definition of fascism is essentially corporations and governments working together. So, anyways,
Interesting.
just
And imagine,
just
let's
thought.
imagine for a second, right? Like, and the government could, have access to an endless money printer and help fund certain corporations.
And pick
That
which
wouldn't-
ones, pick which ones are too big to fail, and then pick ones that are not too big to fail. Crazy.
You know what? People are better than that, Nico. That could never happen. Anyways, yeah, we're idiots. Okay, so here we go. Let's talk about some of the stuff that they're grabbing over here. Okay, so let's dive into the jumble. So this might include some facial recognition using neural networks. So this is, obviously some of the technology that they're going to be using. Implement new field tests with our distribution and data collection teams to create larger data sets. Work closely with other stakeholders, data contributors, and consumers to incorporate their data usage needs on a variety of tasks and domains. Guess what? They're sharing everything. They're sharing everything for the right price. This is BS business speak that says almost nothing with very specific words. Okay? I read this garbage all the time. This type of stuff. All right. So here we go. So this is about the job openings, right? That we were going on about. So here, some of the things that you'll be also doing, or some of the technologies they're going to have, are also the design data pipelines for large-scale data ingestion, working closely with other internal stakeholders to incorporate their data usage needs, right? So there we go. Guys, this WorldCoin thing, I know that everybody sits there, and I remember this feeling when I was a shitcoiner, right? I totally remember this. I wanted to be a person on the ground floor of a project. I thought that this was very important, and I was like, of course, the people who got in on the ground floor of Bitcoin, they have a major advantage. Do you know how many people lost their coins, sold their coins, thought it was BS, didn't do enough research, all kinds of stuff like that? Listen, really, there's a very, very small percentage of people who got lucky. A lot of the other people they did their research. It doesn't matter if you get in on the ground floor of a shitcoin, it's still a shitcoin, okay? This thing has a total expectation of value. Nico, what are your thoughts? You want to apply for a job at this company? Sound interesting?
Dude, first of all, this is did Klaus Schwab hit up what's his name, the guy that came up with this and was like, yo,
Sam Altman, and I don't remember the other guy.
I feel like Klaus Schwab hit him up and was like, yo, Sam, what's up? I got an idea for a token. And Sam was like, I'm down. They use the same words, like stakeholders, like Klaus Schwab's like stakeholder capitalism. This is stakeholder coin. Like it's so weird, dude. And then there's like a little bit of a socialist touch on the top, right? Which is a fair distribution, right? But it's like, who are the elites that get to pick what is the fair distribution? That's the real question. And I saw something on the Twitter Vine that also said that they keep 20% of the pre-mine and 80% of the world gets that fair distribution, which is very similar to how socialist societies work, right? Which is the elites at the top that get to dictate society, get to dictate, this is a fair distribution for us, but for the peasants, there's your fair distribution, as long as you scan your eyeballs. Nothing to see here.
So I just want to add to that, right? Notice how they didn't mention anything about transparency, right? There's no open, where's the code? This is such, yeah, of course you can't trust them. This is total garbage scam.
No, I said you have to trust them.
Oh, you have to trust them. Sorry. I'm thinking you can't trust them. I'm sorry. I just heard what I wanted. It's selective hearing, Nico.
Oh, man.
Okay.
That is, I think that's the fail of the year, bro.
I totally think so.
This is crazy. These people are freaking nut jobs. And the fact that they raised so much money tells me that Silicon Valley still does not understand Bitcoin, right? So you get companies like Coinbase, you get companies, because they have, and Phil and I, we've spoken about this, right? Move fast, break things. But when you're trying to build the monetary base layer of the world, move fast, break things is actually a horrific idea. You kind of have to move slow and do. And I think Gigi has an amazing passage for this, by the way. I'll pull it up if it is.
I was gonna say, see if we could find it.
I will. I'll pull it up in post. But anyways, Phil, what's the next, Phil?
All right, guys. This is the site that Mike Hoshi told us about, cryptosec.info, and this is a timeline. This is a really cool site, actually. A timeline, okay, of the hacks and the source, you know, for each of them, so you can get the information for each of them. Check this out. Anyways, obviously it's in the show notes, cryptosec.info, DeFi hacks. Let's dive into it. We're going to go all the way back to January 11th, 2020. We had Fulcrum 2.5 mil. Then, okay, February 15th, not even a month, not even, you know, like slightly a month later, you've got BZRX, 900K. All right, not too much, but still trash and ripped off, right? Trash and rug pulled. Then, April 19th, 2020, you've got D-Force. That just totally sounds like a rug pull, doesn't it? I feel like if you're buying D-Force, like, you know you're getting rug pulled. I don't know. For me, it just totally sounds like you got scammed. Like, the second you bought it, you're like, damn it!
Oops.
Got scammed!
Oops.
Anyways, $24.9 million. Yeah, that one had to hurt. Anyways, all right. Balancer pool. That just sounds like crap. Anyways, these guys didn't even come up with a good name. $500,000. Yeah, that's right. You didn't come up with a good name, and, you know, you didn't get much. All right. Ooh, very good take on the word open. Open. I like that. This is clever. Anyways, 370K on this one. We're up to August 4th, 2020, guys. All right, we're only at August 4th. Been a lot of rug pulls. All right, here we go. Soft Yearn. It's more like soft brain, but anyways, or smooth brain. Anyways. All right, 250K on this one. Oh, BZX again. 8 million. It's like, oh, we didn't get you the first time, but we're going to come back and take you again. We got to keep the lights on. All right. This one. All right, here we go. September 29th. Ooh, this one sounds very fancy. Eminence. $15 million. Yeah, this one definitely commanded power. It was like, yes, Eminence. What do they do? DeFi, Yearn. Yeah, cultists were hit with the what? Okay, anyways, whatever. I'm sure that they were farm yielding garbage and nothing was happening. Okay, next. Leo Finance. Oh, this was, you know what? I even remember this one. This was one of these like total wrapped stories, right? The wrapped coins. So make no mistake, there's no such thing as wrapped tokens, okay? It's either a shit coin or it's not. This business of wrapping, it doesn't exist. Anyways, only $42,000. That's right. Your idea sucked. Okay, you couldn't scam good enough. All right, October 26th. Look at this. Harvest Finance. Okay, $24 million. Now, if I was to go through the whole list, we would be sitting here for an hour and a half, because keep in mind where I'm at the bottom part of my screen, okay? And we are just at October 26, 2020. We haven't even gotten to 2021, okay?
That's insane.
You haven't even gotten there, Nico. So, anyways.
All right, just a small observation there. Just a small observation. It's funny because you said only 900K. That's where our expectations are for the scam.
We expect these scams to be so epic. We're like, oh, it was less than $1 million. It's like everybody got off easy.
42,000. Just brush it aside. But
it was like one person who got rug pulled in that.
Man, that is so much money. If you add that up, that's like billions of dollars. Just poof, gone. It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
I mean, look, just to give you an idea, okay? Just to give you an idea for the total, right? That whole list, because obviously we're not gonna do the whole thing, right? So here we go. As of today, there's a total of 63 DeFi exploits, and check this out, with lost funds amounting in approximately $1.2 billion. Okay? So this is not chump change. This is a lot of, and let me tell you something, that $1.2 million, as you know, Nico, 1.2 billion. Thank you, yes, billion. As you know, this is not like a whole bunch of like rich people, you know, losing some chump change. For a good majority, this is just, you know, people trying, you know, earning a living. They hear a story, they feel, why not me, right? We all think that, right? Other people got the opportunity, why don't I get my shot? You know, and they take what they think is their chance, you know, and this is what happens. So You know, it's a lot, man. It's a lot of money.
That's the tragedy of it, is that there's a lot of suffering people in this world, and they kind of want to get out of the rat race, and just, your life sucks and you see a way out, and essentially, false promises. People give you false promises, but they can't see what's in front of them. And I totally understand that, because Phil and I went through the same thing. We both had our shitcoining days, which you have to go through. I've interviewed so many Bitcoiners, and 99% of them have gone through the shitcoining phase. I feel like it's a rite of passage, a price of tuition, whatever you want to call it. And Bitcoin was just staring them in the face the entire time. But because of the unit bias, because they felt they were late to the boat, and they were like, oh, I'm going to get in on the next Bitcoin, they put their money into a shitcoin and these DeFi projects. And it's like, you have to understand, like, these people keep innovating, these scammers keep innovating, and coming up with different ways to take your Bitcoin, because that's what they want, right? So the ICO boom, the NFT, DeFi, it's all the same. It's literally things that are designed to take your Bitcoin away. Right, I have a buddy, and then I'll shut up, that we kind of went through the bear market together. And check this out. He put $100,000 into, and I told him not to. He put $100,000 into a shitcoin called Dig. And I was like, dude, it's not going to end well, bro. Just put it in Bitcoin. If he put it in Bitcoin, that same buddy would have a couple $1 million today. That $100,000 investment. He exited out of Dig because Dig went to the fucking floor. He came out of it with like 10, 15 grand. Totally wrecked. Bad experience in Bitcoin and crypto, right? And, and he feels like this shit's a scam. When he could have had long time preference, right? Kept working at his fiat mining, taking that energy, that money, putting it into Bitcoin, right? And just, dude, like, keep growing your stack. And, dude, he would have ended up with that size of an investment, because $100,000 is a lot of money to a lot of people, right? He would have ended up with millions of dollars today. All he had to do was wait a couple years, but he decided that he wanted to get rich quick. And I feel like that's how these shitcoins and DeFi and CeFi and yield farming, I feel like that's how they get you, at these false promises that you're going to be the lucky one to 100x your investment.
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, just to end off the fail segment here, this is just the tip. Everything will be going up in price. All parts manufacturers have increased their costs. That's on top of labor, and shipping cost rises too. As soon as one competitor raises prices in a specific category, all others will follow. Now look, we're not going to dive into the article, but I want you guys to take a look at this. Raspberry Pi. Okay, these are like some of the easiest parts to source. Okay, this is very troubling. Raspberry Pi announces first ever price increase due to component shortages. Guys, you know what? It's tinfoil hat time, and so far we've actually been pretty good. So not to say that I want it to come true, but the reality is that everything that has happened in the last 2 years is specifically in order to justify what is about to happen in the next 2 to 4 years. Okay, so they have no way to actually show you a 50 to 100% price increase from one day to the next. But what they can do is that they can create a massive amount of stories to make you think that these price increases that we're going to see only could have happened because of these shortages and because of COVID and all of this stuff that's happened, these people that don't want to go back to work, etc. All of this is going to justify massive inflation. And the icing on the cake, or, the cherry on top, is that somehow Bitcoin is going to be responsible for, the massive financial, quote unquote, financial collapse somehow. But make no mistake, Nico's been pulling up that frickin' chart week after week. The money printing chart is a hockey stick, okay? It's a hockey stick. So the reality is that they debased the money. we're printing like crazy. It's not to say that it's going to collapse or something like that from one day to the next. What we're saying is that there is going to be massive inflation because they cannot hide it. There is still a lot of confidence, but the reality is that that confidence is misplaced. And this is why we Bitcoin, because we understand better money.
Absolutely, man. And you know what? It's scary. It's scary seeing this stuff. You know, you go to the supermarket, you see the empty shelves, you see the price of, you know, some specifically steak, right? It's up like crazy. And people are blaming politics, and they're blaming this, and they're blaming, you know, that, and they're blaming the supply chains, and they're blaming, you know, what's happening in the world right now, the giant sickness, you know, that governments are using to justify shutting down the economy. And it's awfully convenient that this is at a point where the money print, just like a drug addict, right, trying to chase that next high, every single hit that he takes has less and less of an effect, right? And I think that's what we're seeing right now in fiat. Now, here's the scary thing, guys, and a lot of people haven't experienced this in the West, and specifically in the United States, for a very long time. The only thing that's holding up fiat is people's confidence in fiat. Once that confidence breaks, there is no bottom. Once the music stops, the dollar is literally a piece of paper, right? And fiat literally stands for, what does fiat stands for? The full faith in the U.S. government. That's literally what it stands for, right? Full faith and credit of the U.S. government. That is what fiat is. Not backed by gold, not backed by whatever. It's literally a giant illusion of people thinking that this piece of paper, literally, think about how crazy that is. This piece of paper has value, right? So they've been essentially taking advantage of the dollar's legacy, right? It's, you know, since Bretton Woods, 1949, it started backed by gold, right? So had this this great reputation for so long, and right now we're riding on that reputation, right? We're riding on that reputation, but that's just it. There is nothing behind this. There is nothing backing this. And when the music stops, you better freaking hope that you have hard assets, right? So real estate, you know, gold is a shit coin, but gold is a physical gold, not paper gold. Bitcoin, right? You better freaking hope that you have that, because everyone and their mother, and I've seen this happen in Latin America, when hyperinflation starts, it's very quick, it's very fast, and everyone wants to get a hard asset. So the prices of the actual hard assets are insanely high, right? And your paper money, literally by the second, is just losing tremendous amounts of value. Now, is that going to happen overnight? Is that going to happen in the next couple of years? Who knows? But the supply chain shortages, this reminds me of Venezuela, the empty shelves, you know, the stuff that's not there, right? The money that's constantly losing its purchasing power, right? So could this be coming to America? Who knows? But if you don't think if you want to buy insurance just in case, get yourself some Bitcoin. Just saying. Anyways, Phil, it's time for
the Daily Meme Review, sponsored by
Citadel 21.
The first meme is brought to us by Bitcoin Taliban. And you can go give them a follow at firebrand_BTC. This one makes no sense, but it's the world coin. Let's see who this really is. Island boy. Very, very good. Next one is brought to us by Kaye. And Dad, why didn't you buy BTC in 2021? Because Bitcoiners were so toxic on Twitter. Little kid, fucking idiot. All right, moving on to the next one. Brought to us by Bitcoin Sample. I don't know about you, but sounds good to me. So what do you do these days? Buy Bitcoin, eat meat, exercise, stay humble, stack sats, socialize, sleep, repeat. Accurate. That's kind of what I do with my life. Anyways, another one by Bitcoin Taliban. Hey, WorldCoin, why do you always wear that mask? It's close. Let's keep this on. Absolutely hilarious. And for our supply chain shortage special Saturday episode, I'm going to give it a Raspberry Pi 4.
Ooh. It's in high demand. Very tough to find at low prices.
Brand new in the box, by the way.
I know. I was gonna say I might have to put some of mine on eBay. Yeah. So look, definitely. Can you? I'm sorry. Can you go back to the first meme though? There was something.
I got you. Island Boy. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. That's what it was. Okay. So I found this totally hilarious. Okay, I got it. All right. So totally funny, and I just, I have to say, I saw a tweet with them doing an interview today, and you know what? I have to give them respect. That was some pretty interesting stuff about sun gazing. Well, anyways, my score is a Bitcoin magnet from Bitco. That's right. That is a Bitcoin magnet.
Awesome scores. Raspberry Pi, a Bitco magnet for some awesome memes. I love the Bitcoin Taliban memes. Phenomenal. But anyways, Phil, it's time for
the Daily News, sponsored by
Crypto Cloaks.
We're about to talk about a very hot topic in the Bitcoin community. We're going to openly discuss and criticize current existing AML and KYC regulation. However, this does not advocate whatsoever that simply Bitcoin advocates breaking the law in any way, shape, or form. We believe that these types of conversations and discussions are vital so that policymakers in the future rethink how they look at current existing KYC and AML regulation. Alright guys, we've covered this many times, but a recent article, some developments came out recently to kind of hammer in the point, right? That KYC and AML is anti-human and it isn't effective at what it says it's supposed to do. It more so protects the system rather than actually fighting crimes, and the victims of KYC and AML are actual business owners that have to pay those crazy costs of regulation, and they're the ones that actually fine you, because criminals, think about it, it's in the name, criminals, they don't care about this stuff. Anyways, I digress. By law, KYC is required for financial institutions to establish the legitimacy of a customer's identity and identity risk factors. KYC procedures help prevent identity theft, money laundering, financial fraud, terrorism financing, and other financial crimes. Here it is again, non-compliance can occur heavy penalties. That's where they milk in the sweet heavy penalty dollars. KYC requirements were introduced in the 1990s to fight money laundering. Following the 9/11 attacks, the U.S. passed stricter laws around KYC as part of the Patriot Act, the infamous Patriot Act. These changes have been in the works prior to 9/11, but the terrorist attacks provided the political momentum needed to enact them. Title III of the Patriot Act requires that financial institutions deliver on two requirements to comply with the heightened KYC obligations: the Customer Identification Program, CIP, and the Customer Due Diligence. Current KYC procedures embrace a risk-based approach to counteract identity theft, money laundering, and financial fraud. Now, moving on to the counterpoint, right? This is what, Plabe and the banks and the regulators want you to believe why it's necessary. Here's the counterpoint, right? This is an article on netemba.com. KYC is a severe privacy threat. Let's analyze the potential consequences. If you have ever used the KYC AML process of the hacked crypto exchanges, your privacy is compromised. Also, anyone can use your leaked personal documents to open any fake account using your name and launder millions of dollars through fake crypto exchange. It's like it has the exact opposite intended effect. We are getting to the situation when globally enforced KYC and AML process may lead to compromised privacy of millions of people. In addition, potential hackers can perform the impersonation attacks with stolen identities, right? But again, that's just a theory. Let's look at the receipts, shall we? The Equifax Act. How the Equifax Act happened And what still needs to be done? No KYC, maybe. A year after the revelation of the happened, it was a year until they admitted. Anyways, talk about your unhappy anniversary. A year ago today, Equifax disclosed that hackers stole the personal information of 147 million Americans from its servers. So half the country, essentially. So again, what seems more accurate at this point? The narrative that they would like you to believe, that it's useful to stop crime and terrorism, or perhaps it's a severe privacy threat, right? 147 million Americans, and now all of their private information is online. But wait, Phil, there's more. AML controls are ineffective at stopping crime, says policy expert. And we've actually gone into an actual formal study. You can go back to that episode. And we literally went page by page. But anyways, this kind of like summarizes it. Policy effectiveness expert Dr. Ronald F. Pohl says the current anti-money laundering system only results in 0.1% of the proceeds of crime actually being seized. 0.1%. Money laundering controls are not effective anti-crime measure, and AML compliance wastes good technology and kills startups. Who could have known? According to a new article by policy effectiveness expert Dr. Ronald F. Pohl. Despite trillions of dollars, standardized laws spanning the globe, and 3 decades of, Phil, what was that word say?
Prodigious.
Thank you. Effort, the modern AML system has almost no impact on crime and also causes social and economic harm. Who could have known? Yet he argues regulators force fintech startups and other challenger firms to drive up costs and complexity into customers' business models, and banks to build huge compliance departments, also known as moats, right? If you want to compete, it's a moat, on threat of ruinous potential penalties and punishing costs for regulatory breaches. And this is exactly what that other article that we covered said, was that the AML and the KYC, they're really getting their money from people that follow the laws that don't comply with the KYC and AML, not the actual criminals. So who is this law designed for? The common citizen that's just trying to start a business, or to go after criminals? Because clearly it's not effective. And just to remind everyone, we left $80 billion to terrorists that we spent the last 20 years fighting in Afghanistan. So this idea, right, and you connect this with the $600 reporting that the Treasury wants to, is flouting around. Is this really to fight crime and to fight terrorism? Or is this really a system of control that's designed to build a moat around these banks, around these regulators, designed to keep competition from coming in? Just an idea, right? And again, connect this with the Equifax, right? This article said, look, potential millions of people getting their identity stolen, right? So connect this. Equifax hack. This just came out. Check this out. Hackers steal government ID database for Argentina's entire population. A hacker has breached the Argentinian government's IT network and stolen ID cards with details for the country's entire population. Data that is now being sold in private circles. Oh my God. The agency is a crucial cog inside the Argentinia's interior ministry, where it is tasked with issuing national ID cards to all its citizens, data that is also stored in digital format as a database accessible to other government agencies, acting as a backbone for most government queries for citizens' personal information. Lionel Messi and Sergio Aguero, which are huge soccer stars, data leaked on Twitter. The first evidence that someone breached, or that's the name of the system, surfaced earlier this month on Twitter when a newly registered account name, Analba Leaks, published ID cards, photos, and personal details for 44 Argentinian celebrities. This included details for the country's president, multiple journalists, political figures, and even data for soccer superstars Lionel Messi and Sergio Aguero. Okay. So let's connect the dots, okay? We're heading into a world where people take self-custody of their wealth, right? Now imagine a data breach where it literally says this person lives here This is their address, and I know how much Bitcoin he has because of AML and KYC. It's not effective at fighting crime. They clearly don't care about the terrorism thing, or else they wouldn't have left $80 billion of equipment to the terrorists. So who does it serve, right? And now here's the thing, right? El Salvador proved in 30 days that the world doesn't burn down when you introduce an open monetary network into the country. In fact, not only does it not burn down, there's more people, quote unquote, banked than there was in the traditional banking system that requires the KYC and AML. So who does it really service? Who does it really work for? In my opinion, KYC and AML is really working for the bureaucrats, and what they're doing is collecting rent from people that have minor infractions, and they charge you an arm and a leg, and they're all playing pretend that it's all to stop crime and to stop terrorism and to stop whatever. If that were the case, why hasn't it stopped crime? Why hasn't it stopped terrorism?
It's not what it's intended to do. It's just not what it's intended to do. Look, as you were explaining this, it really got me thinking of a different angle of this, right? So you're absolutely right. Population control, 100%, this is, if you zoom out, you can see, right?
We have to specify, though. We don't know that for certain. We think.
Oh, no, we don't know that for certain, but I mean, if you zoom out and you take a look at what that does, in terms of behavior, right, for your, for your financial life and everything like that, they create all of these types of, these laws and regulations, and it really, what does it do? When you create these things, what happens? You have to hire somebody to enforce it. You have to create a department that runs it. That costs money. That means you can continue to print as much as you're printing, and you now have to fund this other department. So I actually think that not only does it, does it have to do with, serving just the bureaucrats, I actually think that it is also specifically designed so that it helps keep the machine growing. Right? The machine of bureaucracy. Because if you think about it, right, like what happens? You got to go to school in order to, at least get a degree so that you can go get hired by one of these government agencies. So, you've piled on that debt, right? You're going to be paying that back for the rest of your life. You're going to work for one of these agencies that does really what? Right? At the end of the day, what are they doing? What is it really stopping? It doesn't actually stop the crime. We are not actually fixing the root cause by doing what we're doing. That is, all we're doing is band-aids, right? And we're applying band-aids that are being sold to us, by that specific party, right? So the government creates the problem, and then also provides the solution for it. Like, let's face it, the KYC AML, we're not the ones implementing that. They're asking for it, but then at the same time, as you just showed from the Argentinian government, they got hacked and all this information got taken. So you're being told that you have to comply, but at the same time, the people telling you to comply are not responsible with our data.
And they don't answer for it.
It doesn't work.
And they don't answer for it. Equifax,
no, exactly.
And it's like, those are just two examples. There's just so many examples of just data breaches. The SolarWinds hack.
Oh yeah.
Huge, data hack. It's like it happens over and you create a honeypot with people's names, addresses, emails. What do you think is what is that a target? We had Nick Newman from Casa yesterday. He was talking about it. That creates a massive target that says, "Please hack me," right? Mm-hmm. And it's like, man, it's absolutely absurd. And dude, like, we're heading into an age, right, where now people are taking custody of their wealth. So now KYC and AML is potentially going to put people in physical danger. Because imagine now people, it's like, think about it. They see your Twitter profile, right? Just going to give a random example. They see Dan Held, right? They see his name. It leaks from one of these, crypto exchange hacks or whatever. they assume that guy has a lot of Bitcoin. Now he's in physical danger because they have his email, they have his full name, they have his address. Like, think about it.
They're starting to build a profile.
It's ridiculous, bro. And this idea that we've been brainwashed. I was part of that until I read that full report by that guy. We did a whole episode on it that literally explained exactly what that article that I pulled up a little bit ago said, that it doesn't stop crime. So what does it do? It's self-serving bureaucracy. That's what it does. That's what it does. That's all it does. So, and I refuse to believe that if the world was allowed to transact freely, it would burn down. That's not true. Nope. The world has been doing that for thousands of years. People have been transacting, and it's okay. And the people that commit crimes, good old-fashioned police work. You don't need a giant surveillance system that is actually hurting the population rather than serving. Okay, give the benefit of the doubt. Let's say in the 90s, we didn't know, right? It's like communism back in the early 1900s. We didn't know that communism was a bad economic model. We had no idea, okay? 100 years of death and bad economies have proven that communism doesn't work, okay? Since the 90s, KYC and AML has proven that it doesn't work, right? But we keep going with that because exactly what you said. You have this giant bureaucrats that collect a wage literally for enforcing regulations that don't do anything but other than go after the people that are trying to follow the law, but they don't follow it to the T. Ridiculous. That's all I have to say.
Yep. It's insane, man. It is completely insane. It's what we always say. It's a complete clown world.
But hey, Bitcoin fixes this. But anyways, Phil, it's time for... No, it's not. There was a open source software release today. Why don't you tell everybody about it?
Software releases. All right, everyone. We've got fully noted version 0.2.28 that's released. That wallet, it is the Bitcoin wallet that lets you use your own Bitcoin core node as a backend. Check it out down below in the show notes.
Awesome. Thank you, Phil. All right, guys, that was our show. We changed it up a little bit. We like to do something different on the weekends. We focus mostly on the fails today. Let us know what you guys think. Comment down below if you liked it, if you disliked it. Please let us know. Feedback is what helps make us make the show better. But anyways, guys, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors. Get your tickets to Bitcoin 2022 for the largest Bitcoin conference ever. It's going to be in sunny Miami. Take advantage of the link down below for 10% off. 10% off. Check out Cloaks for the best 3D printed Bitcoin merch. Take advantage of the link down below for 5% off. CryptoCloaks.com. Check out Citadel 21 for the best Bitcoin cultural zine. It's by plebs, for plebs. Awesome plebs signal, Citadel21.com, and of course, check out Pirate Hash for some awesome Bitcoin trinkets like a Bitcoin board game, Bitcoin Source Poster, really cool stuff. PirateHash.com. Anyways, guys, that was our show. If you enjoyed the show, you know what to do. Smash the like button. And of course, if you want to continue hearing the catastrophic fails from shitcoiners, bankers, regulators, everyone, and the Bitcoin news from the pleb perspective, definitely consider subscribing, and we'll see you tomorrow, guys, for another episode of Simply Bitcoin.
In the fiat system, when the music stops, there's no chairs. Opt out now.